Hey there, I'm Jackie Ferris. On this week's show, we are celebrating the start of 2022, telling you what's new in the greater Wilmington area to see and to do. Get out a notepad. You're going to want to write all of this down. The 302 is ringing in the new year. Hey there, we are joined by Jen Bose, who is with the Greater Wilmington Convention and Visitors Bureau, to talk a little bit about what's new for 2022, being that it's the first day of 2022. Jen, thank you so much for joining us. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thanks for having me.
So 2021 and 2020 were really rough. So tell us how it's going and what we anticipate for 2022.
So we're seeing the visitors come back, which is really exciting for us. I will say we didn't take as much of a hit as some because we are a drive-to destination. So I think a lot of people that weren't so eager to get on a plane yet, but were ready to get out, came here. But we're seeing those numbers increase. We've got a lot of new and exciting things coming up in 2022 that we're happy to talk to you about. So I feel really positive about the outlook for the next year.
So as we enter this new year, I know that there are a lot of new exhibits that are coming to a couple of the really interesting and fun museums that we have in the area. Let's talk a little bit about Winter Tour's Jackie exhibit.
Oh, so there's a Jackie exhibit coming in March of this year, which is really exciting. I don't know if your viewers know, but Jackie Onassis has a tie to Winter Museum, in that the founder of Winter Museum was asked to be part of the founding of Camelot, which was the reboot of the White House when Jackie was the First Lady. So that's what the exhibit is going to focus on, and we're really excited about it.
Can you tell us a little bit more about Winter Tour for somebody who has not had the chance to visit?
So it has the most important collection of American decoratives and antiques. There are also beautiful grounds to walk. It's known for its gardens. They also have some really wonderful events in May. It's home to the Point to Point, which is a steeplechase race, which is a big tradition in the Brandywine Valley.
So that happens typically the first weekend of May, and it's huge. People come from all over for that.
Right, yeah.
What is it like?
It's a lot of fun. The tailgating is especially fun. You get all dressed up in your fascinator and your fancy spring dresses. The guys get all dressed up too. And there's a competition for who has the best tailgate. Watch the race, drink some champagne. It's a really good time had by all.
I can imagine, on such beautiful grounds.
Definitely, yeah. Beautiful all year long. I mean, no matter what time you go, there's something different to see at the Winter Gardens.
I know the last time we were there, it was changing into the colder season, and they were talking about forest bathing, where you basically go into the forest and you just surround yourself with the green or the changing colors and the oxygen, and a lot of people are really into it.
Yeah, it's really wonderful. That's one of my favorite places to go in the early spring when things are just starting to get green again. There's a beautiful carpet of wildflowers throughout the grounds that I love to kind of take in, you know, just to get the winter chill off that's still lingering. It's a really great place.
And they have a lot of wildlife. They have birds, they have butterflies, it's a big preservation program as well.
Right, they have a pair, I believe it's a pair of nesting kestrels there. A lot of people don't know that. And that's a really interesting sidebar. And then they're home to some beautiful koi. I don't know how old they are, but they've got to be really old. They're huge. And if you go to the end of the pond that's on the grounds and you tap your finger like this, they'll come right up. They probably think you're going to feed them, but I love to do that too. It's very relaxing.
So it's the perfect place. I know some people are a little nervous about being indoors, but there's plenty to do indoors and outdoors at Winter Tour.
Yeah, the grounds are very extensive, and the home is beautiful too. I mean, they've got some really wonderful antiques a lot of people don't know, but they even have a piece that was once owned by Andy Warhol. Mm-hmm. They have a super huge, I think it's one-of-a-kind pool table. Very interesting. It takes up almost the whole room. So even if you're not an antique buff, you can find something you love in the house.
Sure, lots of inspiration. And speaking of antiques, there's also a Tiffany exhibit, is that right?
Oh yes, that's coming up in May at the Delaware Art Museum. Again, something really anticipated. That was going to be earlier on, but COVID had it, pushed it back. So we're really excited excited for that to come up in May. It'll be a beautiful display of Tiffany glass.
Sure, and they have a lot of art going on now. There's an exhibit of African-American art, is that right?
Percy Ricks, that's another really interesting exhibit. So that was going to be originally mounted many years ago, I believe in the 1950s, and it just didn't happen. So the curators at the Delaware Art Museum went all around the country to pull the original pieces that were going to be in the original exhibit together. So it's not just, it's all different African-American artists. It's really, really impressive.
I can imagine a lot of people are going to be checking that out, along with all of the other art museums in the area. So, but when they come here, they're going to want to stop and they're going to want to eat some food. And we're going to talk about where you can dine and some new projects that are happening here in the greater Wilmington area when we return.
Hello, I'm Michael, the operations manager here at the AMC Museum. We'd love to fly here with the 302.
Welcome back. We're talking about all the cool things that are popping up in Wilmington and all the great things that you can come and check out while you're visiting here in Delaware. We're joined by Jen Bose. So Jen, let's talk a little bit about the food. I know whenever I come into town and I visit either Winterthur or Hagley or taking a show or something, I'm all about the food. Where can I go? And there's a couple of places that have just opened up. One that I think is really, really cool is the Wilma's, which is bowling and dining.
Right, yeah, it's really exciting. So it's Cajun themed food, which is delicious. And then you can do duck pin bowling after you're finished with dinner. So it's a great addition to Market Street, downtown Wilmington.
It's really amazing too, whenever you walk in and you look at the restaurant side of things, it doesn't seem like a restaurant that would be attached to a bowling alley.
No, it doesn't, does it?
Yeah.
And it's really high quality gourmet food too, which I don't think you typically find connected to a bowling alley.
Yeah. So what kind of what kind of things are on the menu? What kind of food is New Orleans style food for people who may not know?
So shrimp and grits is one of my favorite dishes.
And what else do you have? Cocktails. I'm sure they have really good craft cocktails.
They have lovely craft cocktails. It's a full menu of wonderful things, Cajun influenced. You'll feel like you're in New Orleans.
Now, have you been bowling there?
I haven't been bowling yet.
We've got to lace it up and go bowling there, because nothing is as much fun as a pitcher of beer and some friends on a bowling alley.
Absolutely.
For lunch today, the crew and I, we went to another restaurant that just opened a couple of months ago, and that's the Snuff Mill. Really good food. Can you tell us about them?
Sure, that's out on Route 202, and I'm actually surprised you guys got in there because that's a really hard reservation to get.
They must have known we were going to talk about them.
Yes, they must have. So it's a small restaurant, very cozy. They're known for their steaks, and if you are still hungry after you're done eating, you can bring a steak home with you. So they're craft cut steaks. It's a really, really great thing in Wilmington, in North Wilmington.
Now their menu is really eclectic, and you go in and the tables are set very nicely. And they have these plates that for soup and the potato pasta. I mean, it was this round, big, looked like a flower almost. So they really take a lot of time, not just in their food, but in the presentation of the food.
Yeah, it's a really big draw. I mean, with locals and visitors alike, we're really lucky to have them.
Do you have a favorite there?
The steak, of course.
There you go.
The ribeye.
There you go. So as far as restaurants go, there's also something that's been here for a little while that's going through a little bit of change with Bardea, right?
So Bardea is one of our best restaurants. I would venture to say it's one of the best restaurants in the state, certainly one of the best restaurants in Wilmington. James Beard nominated restaurant, very popular, and they announced in late 2021 that they were going to be opening a steakhouse. So we're really excited about that, and the timetable is soon. It should be this quarter.
So just so we understand, so it's the same restaurant just being rebranded, or it's a second restaurant?
It's a second restaurant.
Oh,
it's going to be
nice.
called Bardea Steak.
So if you can have your Bardeas to choose from.
Exactly. Yeah, if you're in the mood for steak. I mean, one of my favorite things on the menu in the original Bardea is their ribeye, which they do in a sous vide, and then they finish, like they broil it or put it under a salamander. It's the best ribeye I've ever had. So if they can do it that well at the original Bardea, I can't wait to see what they do at the steakhouse.
I know during Restaurant Week, our crew visited and did a segment with them, and they made this amazing saffron pasta.
Oh,
they did a
yes.
whole demonstration, and it was amazing. And the pressed coffee that they made for us, really a lot of rich flavors and aromas. You don't leave that place hungry.
No, and they do some really innovative things with food. One of my favorite things there is the avocado. It's actually marinated and cooked. I'd never had avocado like that before, and it took me a while to try it, but now every single time I go, I get it. It's wonderful.
Now, down the road, there's going to be a rooftop lounge as part of a whole new development. Can you talk about that?
Yes. So this is very exciting. There's a new boutique hotel that's being built down on the lower end of Market Street. It's in a former school in a historic building. It's going to be 22 rooms, I believe, and they're going to have a rooftop bar, and we really, really hope it's finished for spring because it's going to be great. And from what I've heard, the hotel hasn't been officially named yet, and the restaurants that are going to be in it haven't been officially named yet, but word on the street, it's going to be something really, really good and surprising. 2 restaurants.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Maybe they'll let us in to do a little preview.
That would be wonderful.
Open.
Would love that.
Now, another place that we did a show at was Le Cave. Yeah, talk to us in the Hotel DuPont.
So Le Cave is doing so well. They came online. They actually opened right at the beginning of the pandemic, but they've weathered it really well because the food is excellent, the atmosphere is excellent. Some of your viewers might remember the Green Room, which was an institution in Wilmington for years. So this is the Green Room reinvented. And it's just a really fabulous French bistro. They've got the best cocktails in town. It's also a really hot ticket, really hard to get a dinner reservation.
Well, worth the wait for sure.
Definitely.
Definitely. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk more about what you can expect for 2022 in Wilmington and the surrounding area. We'll be right back.
I'm Stephanie Lampkin, and we're making history on the 302.
Welcome back. We're talking about what's new in Wilmington for 22. We talked a little bit about some of the exhibits at the museums. We talked about the food, and now we're going to talk about some of the festivals. But before we get into that, Jen, I want to talk to you about a new business that you have with bespoke clothing and handbags. Tell me about Town and Shore.
So Liv McClintock is the owner. Very interesting story. She was formerly in IT and then became a master leather crafter. She's a really big following in New York and other big cities around the United States. A lot of her business is, online. And she had a studio out in Centerville, and we're very fortunate that she's brought her work down to Market Street in downtown Wilmington, and she opened a boutique that you can visit in December 2021, right before Christmas. It's really, really amazing to see, and her workshop is on the same site as the boutique.
It's really cool how many eclectic businesses you have, especially on Market Street. I know that there's Space Boy. We went and visited them and everything. How are they doing?
They're doing really well. I mean, I think that this is the area for them. They're a great urban brand, which is really attractive to a lot of the young people that come downtown, and I think they're doing really well. This is a good place for them.
So we talked about, like I said, the food. Now we need to talk about festivals, which also have food. So we'll start at the beginning of the year. First up is Newcastle, right?
Right, Day in Old Newcastle. So a lot of people don't know Newcastle. They'll know Williamsburg. But Newcastle is like Williamsburg, but it's all authentic. So it's a colonial town. It has some of the oldest architecture in our state. And they have a big celebration at the beginning of the year, and it's one of our most popular festivals. It kind of honors the history of Newcastle. It's a great opportunity to learn about it, and also have some good food because they've got some great restaurants down there.
That sounds really cool. So we're going to move a little bit further into the calendar about the Greek festival.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorites. So we have a really robust Greek and a robust Italian community in downtown Wilmington, and each community has its own festival in the summer. They're back to back. They have some of the best food. In terms of food festivals of the state, those two are number one and number two. So they're really wonderful.
So there's also the Grand Prix coming on the heels of those two festivals?
The Wilmington Grand Prix is a competitive bike race that goes through the streets of Wilmington. It goes up Monkey Hill, which is what the race is famous for, which is over by our Brandywine Zoo. Really challenging. And for those of us that are amateur bikers, the day after the professional race, you can enter to do a ride that travels the same route as the Wilmington Grand Prix.
The atmosphere just must be amazing at that time, all these people lining the streets.
Right, and we're so happy to welcome it back in 2022 because of COVID. It hasn't occurred for the past 2 years, so we're really looking forward to that.
Now, are there events on the side, things that when people come to, say, watch the race that they can do while they're here?
Well, what I would suggest while you're here is after watching the race, take in some of the great attractions that are right around that same area. The Delaware Art Museum is there. There's a ride tied to this, tied to the race, and an amateur ride that goes through all the attractions of the Brandywine Valley. You can visit those, Nemours, Hagley, Winnetou.
A lot to choose from. Now, I know that there's a lot of influence music in the area, and you have a festival specifically for jazz, Clifford Brown, a legend. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
So Clifford Brown is from Wilmington, and the Jazz Festival is named after him in his honor. It is the largest free jazz festival on the East Coast of the United States, and they bring some really big names. Last year in 2021, they had Eric Benet. It's right downtown. You just bring your lawn chair, bring a picnic, and take in the entertainment. It's a wonderful, wonderful festival.
So shifting from jazz to reggae, you have a reggae festival, right?
We do. Not many people know this, but Bob Marley spent some time here in Wilmington. He used to live in Wilmington. His mother lived in Wilmington, and he lived with her for a time. And that festival honors him.
What about arts? I know you have a festival for the arts, the Brandywine Festival.
The Brandywine Festival of the Arts is a wonderful chance to come downtown and see some of the artisans that we have locally as well as all around the region and buy their wares. It takes place in the park by our Brandywine Zoo. And I mean, you can spend hours browsing the different vendors. It's a great place to pick up jewelry, pottery, artwork. It's a great time, and they have some wonderful food trucks as well.
Of course, food is the key to the big draw for a lot of folks. So when people come to visit one of these festivals or a restaurant or whatever, and they want to make sure that they can kind of make an itinerary, I know that your website is very helpful in doing that, right?
Yes, so it's visitwilmingtonde.com, and we have some preset trip ideas that viewers can use, or you can just pick and choose from the many attractions that we have listed on the site and trip ideas. Mm-hmm. We actually have a new function on the website where you can buy one ticket to get you into any number of attractions that you choose to visit.
Oh, really? What is that called?
It's called the Brandywine Valley Adventure Pass.
Excellent. And it will get you across the board to a bunch of attractions.
Yes, you just pick and choose, and it's one price and one ticket, so it's easy peasy.
And you guys have a newsletter where you send out blasts to let people know, because sometimes it's a Friday, you've had a really rough day at work or a week, whatever. You get that blast and you're like, oh, let's go to Delaware.
We usually send out a e-newsletter quarterly to our list that we have accumulated. And if your viewers would like to be on the list, they can go to the website, visit Wilmington.de, and sign up.
And you guys are also on Facebook, Instagram, all of that?
And TikTok. In December 2021, we joined the TikTok nation.
Well, there you go. Jen, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We'll be right back. For more information on what to see and do in Wilmington, you can go to visitwilmingtonde.com. That'll do it for this week's episode. We're going to leave you now with a beautiful sunset from the Delaware Bridge. Until next time, I'm Jackie Ferris. Tell them you saw it on the 302.